Hello there, and welcome to Health and Horsepower. I'm Dr. Andrea Shanowski, and I am here today to talk to you a little bit more about how probiotics help with immune function. So, we've been seeing over the last 10 years that digestive health issues, especially those related to irritable bowel syndrome and heartburn, have been increasing. And many of these problems are related to our fast paced lifestyle because we have increased demands on our adrenal fight or flight systems for hormone balance, and we're also not really eating enough of the right foods to help those bacteria thrive. So if you're not eating the right foods or you're under stress, what happens is the probiotic or beneficial bacteria in your gut, they start to become out of balance. So we typically will see less of the good bacteria and more of what I like to call the other bacteria. So your good probiotic bacteria are responsible for making vitamins and minerals, but they also help to produce natural antibiotics so that your body can fight off infection. If you're not feeding those bacteria the right things, we can start to see, especially if they're not getting fiber from fruits and vegetables, that those numbers of those good probiotic bacteria start to drop, and then the other guys move in and take up that space. Now, those other bacteria, they are responsible and they can actually be associated with constipation and diarrhea because they're going to change how quickly your body can move feces through the intestines. They also are responsible for causing irregular bowel movements because, again, they're not working as effectively as those good beneficial bacteria. And because a lot of times those bacteria tend to be more anaerobic, they are responsible for producing more gas and they can also produce mucus. So that can cause issues when they're at high. You may start to notice that you are having, number one, more gas. You may be having more stomach pain or intestinal pain. You may notice even that it is a little harder to push out, or you may notice that your stool's changing in texture because those bacteria numbers are out of balance. Now, some of the newer research when it comes to probiotics have found that those bacteria are also, they're responsible for actually regulating the protective immune functions of your mucosal cells. And that's systemically as well as in the mucosa that you would find in your vascular system, your digestive system, and also in your respiratory system. So because they're helping to basically make that wall of the cells a lot stronger, if we start seeing that those beneficial bacteria numbers start to drop, we'll also see where the actual cells of your intestinal mucosa as well as your systemic cells start to space out, and then some of that bacteria and virus and even some of the toxins in your body can start to squeeze through those cellular junctions, and we can start to see infections forming because of that. So it's really important to know that we've also seen in some of this research that some of your immune response related diseases, so things like allergies, things like eczema, things like viral infections, and even we've seen now in the research that it actually shows that when you take a probiotic along with something like a vaccination, we're actually seeing vaccination responses are much higher if you're taking a probiotic along with that, so that it helps to basically improve your body's immune response, because you have two parts to your immune system. So you have your first part of your immune response, which is going to be your recognition system. So that says, hey, that cell's not supposed to be there, or hey, we need to get rid of that guy, something's wrong with him. So that cell response system basically recognizes foreign invaders, recognizes cancer cells. And then the second part of your immune system is your adaptive immune system. So that is going to be the immune system that is associated with antibody response, basically your body being able to program and take out an invader rather than just an immune response system. So typically that first system recognizes inflammation, so your body knows where to focus the attack in that immune response. Your secondary system, that adaptive, is going to be more associated with complement reactions and more associated with basically antibody formation. So your body can say, okay, we've seen that before, let's get rid of them. So it's really important to understand that probiotics have been associated with strengthening both of those systems. So helping you not only recognize cells that are not correct or cells and things that shouldn't be there, but also actually forming an immune response so that your body has a strong immune response when it's exposed to that again. So I'm really interested to see in the next couple of years how we see some of that research being applied to vaccines, and also how your body and your immune system responds to just overall immune response to everything from bacteria, viruses, vaccine response, and seeing if we can actually start treating some of these diseases with some of the bacteria strains we found in the research that have been very effective. I recently had a patient come in who had been newly diagnosed with a hormone-related breast cancer, And she was really interested in learning on how she could support her own body's immune response to help her body fight that off better so she had better outcomes. And there's actually been some research studies that have found that specifically in breast cancer, there are certain bacteria strains that have been associated with improving immune response and cellular apoptosis or cell death of those cancer cells, as well as improving how the body responds to the inflammation process and also the healing process after cancer. So I'm really interested to see some of the new research and how that has applications with everything from autoimmune diseases to immune response diseases, like I mentioned already, allergies, eczema, viral infections, and like I said, even vaccines. It's going to be really interesting to see what we see happen over the next 10, 20 years as that research gets accepted in the medical community and potentially funding new types and delivery response systems for some of the medications and health topics and health diseases that we tend to see on a regular basis. So if you are currently taking certain medications that tend to interfere with bacteria in your gut, so things like antibiotics, antifungals, birth control medications, or hormone replacement therapies, I would highly recommend that you start taking probiotic. If you recently have had the flu, or if you've had food poisoning, or if you have an autoimmune related digestive disease, so things like colitis, Crohn's disease, diverticulitis, ulcerative colitis, you can also see benefits from some of the research that I've seen so far. I recommend typically that you take a probiotic that has at least 5 different strains. So to find out how many strains your probiotic has currently, what you want to do is flip that bottle around to the nutrition facts and read out what exactly is in there. Usually it'll say something like Lactobacillus acidophilus, Bifidobacterium, and then it'll have a word after it. You want to count how many different bacteria strains there are and make sure, like I say, usually at least 5 is what we're looking for. And sometimes too, you may also want to do a higher dosage, so like more of a clinical dosage or a tapering dosage where you're starting high and kind of tapering down week by week until the bottle's gone to help get those numbers up. The other thing too is it's really important to make sure you're feeding those bacteria what they need to survive and thrive in your intestines. So typically they're going to need fiber from fruits and vegetables, not Metamucil, not corn husk, but actual fruits and vegetables. So I would recommend either bumping up your fruits and veggie intake or looking into a green supplement specifically that has some of that fiber from fruits and vegetables. If you need more information or you would like to schedule an appointment, you can either call my office at 309-689-6200. You can also go to our website, freedompeoria.org, to request an appointment. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks for tuning in this week.